episode. I think the difficulty with that particular show was that the writing was so brilliant in the first place that actually you didn't need to change much, or you didn't need to cut much. I was in one or two other shows. I was in Blackadder, a couple of episodes of that, and they were constantly changing the script. From day one of rehearsal, it was almost completely, different from the show that ended up was completely different from the one which started, and the writers weren't necessarily the ones who were changing the script. Richard Curtis and Ben Elton, and they were, they're practically walking off the show sometimes because Stephen Fry and John Lloyd were changing. But on this show, I think the writing was so brilliant that you probably didn't need to cut much.
Yeah, no, we didn't cut anything. We added things. For instance, when I went round the supermarket, the beer, the Lawn Brand, I drank that straight down in one. That was my idea. That wasn't in the script. Yeah. And the bag of peas as well. I think the bag of peas had to go, I don't know where the bag, I think originally, John said down my front, right? Down the front region. But in trying it, Mandy was saying, no, just do it down the front. And it was cold and I threw it out, but the beer I added that, and then all the other stuff in the office, as we said, it's just basically, it's very, the way John Sullivan wrote, it's all there, and it was, everything was decided, as we rehearsed, that was the running script, that was going to be the script, they'd already worked that out. You have to understand, I was just thinking, in having this conversation and being here, that, and like contemporary acting, and I just think of what's on TV now and this, that and the other, and it's just extraordinary that they can't replicate or make programs like that anymore, when it's very simple. It's the most simplest things, man out like Peckham wants to get rich, and this, that and the other, and it's like, it's a no-brainer now, even now, it really stands up to the test of time, but they just don't write things like that anymore. There's no, I don't know what it is, whether it's political correctness or whatever the case may be, but there is a massive want for that. And I think maybe you never know, because usually things go in a circle, and usually they find themselves coming back to where they were. But it's like porridge, I suppose. It's such a simple idea, and it's comedy, but they tried it once, but the writing ability, but it's all to do with the writing. He was an incredible writer, so there wasn't much to change.
Wouldn't work now anyway, because Peckham's been gentrified.
Even more so.
Anybody? Oh, there you go. This is making my life really easy with there, and then over there.
I can't remember if this one's been asked, but who's your favourite character in the whole show? Apart from yourself.
Well, I think my favourite was Trigger. Yeah.
Me too.
Bill.
Yeah, I like Rodney actually. Because he was so, laid back.
Nice spread of answers there. Go on to the next one.
We loved them all, but yeah.
There was a survey once when the show was in its, heyday, as it were, or whatever, ratings and everything. They did a survey, and I don't know why they were doing it, but the mothers, the boy that the mothers wanted their daughters to marry the most was Rodney. I mean, it's hysterical. I just thought that was so funny. And then Cassandra's character came out well because she was kind to him.
Hi guys, I just wanted to ask, have you got any funny stories from being on set where something went wrong that weren't supposed to happen, or someone pulled a prank, or just something like that that's kept in your memory that's quite funny?
Well, not on my one. It was just business. There was no messing about. You wouldn't be a guest actor with such a commanding role, and I wouldn't personally be messing about, and they didn't mess about. They really did. David said not too long ago, they interviewed him, and he gave me a big up. He said, yeah, I'm happy Vass Blackwood, he did very well for himself and went on to do, and I did phone his agent and say to his agent, thank you very much for saying that, but no, you couldn't, Not those type of shows. No, I wouldn't. You couldn't go on those and mess about. Not with us, but the other guys they might have because they're on it longer.
I think that what used to happen a little bit was in rehearsal. So the rehearsal week, you'd have to get the laughing out of the way. So we'd spend most of the rehearsal week with tears rolling down our faces, laughing our heads off, thinking, how is this our life and we're paid to do this? And we were so grateful for it. But you'd have to try and get it out of your system by the time you got to the audience. Because when you get to the audience, your job is for them to feel like you did when you were in rehearsals. And that's the key. So you've got to really get through it. And that's what we used to do. I mean, we just, all of us, at different moments, would just lose it in a scene because you'd suddenly start thinking, that's so funny. But you'd have to get it out the way, wouldn't you, before you were actually going to do it.
I mean, the only times, I mean, accidents must have happened in the studio, but I can't remember. They must have done when things sort of broke or door handles came off, but I don't remember those. But sometimes if a scene was being done again for technical reasons, either Sir David or Nick would occasionally sort of mock up something that would go wrong, where it hadn't actually gone wrong, but to break it up so that the audience, who were flagging by then because they'd seen the same scene 6 times, so they weren't finding it particularly funny, it would sort of invigorate them. And it was a really brilliant thing. And I'd never done a studio show before, and when I first did the first one in White City, I couldn't work out why they were doing it. I thought, why are they doing this? Why do they pretend something's gone wrong when it hasn't? And of course, it was why would I know that? But it was such a brilliant thing to do because the whole audience then, laughed because it was funny, and then they'd joke around, wouldn't they? Make faces at each other on the camera so the audience find that funny. But also it then meant they got their attention back because they were waiting to see whether next time that would go wrong. So the whole audience was back with you. You know, it was a really clever trick.
Am I right in thinking the chandelier scene was one take, they had to get it right?
I don't know anything about that because that was way before my time.
Yeah, as far as... Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they really had to. That is what. There was no going back. They had one that could fall, and I mean, I can't imagine the tension of something like that.
I think on one documentary, Nick said that in fact because he used to be a bit of a giggler, the director apparently had come up to him and said, "If you laugh on this one take, because we've only got the one chandelier, you are sacked." And so he didn't laugh.
Fantastic. We've only got 5 minutes left, so is anybody else before we go to Del again? You all go to Del? Cool. Oh, go. Del, and then you. It's all right, I've done this before.
Have any of you seen the musical?
No, I haven't yet. I'd like the musical. Have we seen the musical? I'd like to, but I haven't had time yet. But I mean, I believe it's really, really good.
No, someone mentioned to me, I've got to go. I'm going to go and see it. Yeah, because I know Paul Whitehouse. So you know Paul, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I saw it, and it was really really good. Really, it just for me, if I was as an ardent Only Fools fan, I would say it ticks all the boxes. So the music's good, the acting's good, the story is good. So I would definitely go and see it if you got the chance. And also I'm on a percentage from Paul Whitehouse, the more people I go and see. But talking of percentages, we are going to be downstairs afterwards.
No, I was just going to say as well, my colleague here, we are downstairs, you must come. No, seriously, because this is like business. We're dealing with some business and we've got some good bits and pieces downstairs. So come down and see us, right? Yeah, straight. That's right, darling. You come and see us downstairs, right?
We'll look after you.
We'll look after you. Yeah? I've got some amazing bits and pieces. So, Only Fools and Horses mugs, these cups, you mugs. I've got some mugs, coffee mugs. You come down and have a look now. Don't mess about now. Take some pictures on the set.
We've got another question about price lists, how cheap all the stuff that you've got is. So it's a real bargain if you so.
So like obviously as a show, like you've got probably one of the perfect examples of like when you go from like comedy to like seriousness and like emotion and then straight back into it. And every time I'm watching it, I'm going like, oh, I just want to hold on to like that emotion, just you know, when you like get like a bit of a well in your ear, you're right, I'm a strange person. And then, and then you know, you're holding on to it or whatever, and then it comes back around and you kind of still like relieved. Like, would you feel that as like actors in the scene? Would you feel that emotion, or like was it just like purely kind of like acting sort of thing? Is that a real question?
Do you mean, did we feel what you feel as an audience?
Yeah.
No, because we're acting it, so no. What
You're
we're
fakes
doing...
then, aren't you?
Well, I mean, we might be moved by something or as the characters.
Yeah, that's
but
what I
unless
meant.
we do our bit right, if we stepped outside it to try and have a response that you lot have, we wouldn't be doing our job properly. You get that because hopefully we're all doing our bit right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think as Tess was saying, and as Gwyneth was saying, you know, it's a bit like getting the laughter out of your system during the rehearsal week. You have to you obviously have to connect, you understand what's going on in the emotion of the scene, in the characters, etc. But you know, if the audience can see that you're thinking that, then it's not working. So you've got to get through that bit and then just try and make it real afterwards.
Yeah, it's a hard business that we're in, and many are called, few are chosen, and you've got to get it right. So there's no time to mess about. I mean, you think about it probably when you're learning the lines at home and whatnot, and you check the emotions out, up and down, up and down. But when you turn up and you've got these actors in front of you, you have to give the writer credit, the other actors credit, and the director and the producers and the whole team. You have to get on with it. You can't. If you do that, then you'll get in trouble.
I think that's basically it then. We've bang on time and everything like that. And also downstairs we have got the Only Fools and Horses stuff that we're going to set up now for. So please give your appreciation to Philip and to Flans, Only Fools and Horses. Don't forget, downstairs we will be selling.
And photos.
Once again, the Only Fools and Horses panel. Thank you very much.